Finding problems, that's easy. They exist in every community. I'm Terry Springs, your host. We're looking deeper, and we are talking solutions, finding out how we all can make a difference. Now on Talking Solutions, I'd like to welcome Tom Kovac, Executive Director of the Friends of Metro Foundation. They're out there protecting us every day, and Tom's going to share ways that we can give back and show our support.
The foundation has been in existence since 1999, but it's really only the last few years where we've begun to really expand it and provide much more funding for the men and women of the police department. The foundation exists to provide the opportunity to raise money to support programs and services, equipment, and other initiatives of the department that, importantly, are things that would be found in the annual budget, but there just isn't enough money to fund those items fully.
It seems like in these days of what appears to be an increasingly violent world, you guys are more important to all of us than ever before. And perhaps the people who protect us every day of our lives are more important to us than ever. And as citizens, we need to turn around and stand up and show our support. As you say, the foundation raises funds to provide things that wouldn't otherwise be included in the budget. I get it. The most important thing in the budget for Metro is going to be the people out on the streets, right? But there are so many other needs. We need to give our members of Metro what they need to do their job safely.
That's absolutely true. And one of the focus of funding that we provide is equipment. So we were the organization that provided seed money a few years ago for body-worn cameras, which have become a very important instrument, not only to protect officers, but also to further the transparency that this department has held pretty important for many, many years and is becoming increasingly a hot topic in law enforcement nationally. And it was a great opportunity for the foundation to provide some critical funding initially to demonstrate both internally and externally that body-worn cameras would be effective tools. And I'm very proud that this past budgeting cycle, the county and the city, in their annual budgeting of the department, has provided the money to ensure that all officers of LVMPD will have body-worn cameras by the end of this calendar year, which will make Las Vegas the first major city police department to outfit its officers in that way in the nation. That's one example of our equipment initiatives. Two others this year. We've provided rifle racks for patrol vehicles that allow officers to more easily and quickly access those rifles. And that, in this age of unfortunate attacks on law enforcement around the nation, is an important safety initiative for our officers. And we've also funded the purchase of body-worn shields. So in the event where officers are under attack in certain situations, they would have an additional source of equipment to protect themselves and maintain as much public safety and order as possible in what would be an incredibly difficult situation if they were needing to use those.
It's so sad that violent situations would make us realize how incredibly important our officers are. I know that as a community, just 2.5 years ago, our hearts were collectively broken when we lost 2 officers just having lunch at a pizza place. That's not supposed to happen. But through incredibly sad acts, we all realized how much we care. They have families. They have dreams and goals just like everybody else. And for them to be attacked just because they're officers, nobody can ever justify something like that. So we need to do everything we can to make sure that our officers are as safe as possible. And through the foundation and the money that you raise, we're able to do that. This is a great opportunity for us as citizens. Tom Kovac is with us. How do you guys refer to it when you're talking about it in the office? Just say the foundation?
Yes, we'll say the foundation, and then externally we'll say the Friends of LVMPD Foundation, or many people will say Friends of Metro Foundation because our department is known so widely as Metro.
We started hearing more about the foundation, Tom, in January because you guys were kind of out talking about things like Law Enforcement Appreciation Day, which was in early January. There was Go True Blue initiative.
That's right.
So there were some things happening during January to raise the awareness of the Friends of Metro Foundation. But this support of our law enforcement and Metro is a 365 thing. It can't just be January. And that's why now that we're even past January, I wanted to invite you in to talk about it because I want to ongoing offer an open door to talk about the sort of things that we as citizens can do to help Metro.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
We always ask as part of the show, what can we do to help you. A variety of things. Donate to the foundation. Is there a volunteer opportunity anywhere? I know that there are events coming up.
That's right.
The Cops and Canvas Art Auction, March 2nd. It's a Thursday. It's a fashion show. I was looking on the website about this event, which is going to raise money for the foundation, of course. It's not just officers doing art.
We do define those who can submit as either being active employees of LVMPD, so officers or civilian employees, and retirees. We welcome the public to attend and show their support. One of the goals of the foundation, besides raising money, is to help improve and foster the image of members of the police department. Those of us who have family members who are officers know that they are much more than what they might appear to be behind the badge. Officers are not just people who are there to pull you over when you're speeding or to arrest criminals. They're real people who have interests and talents and abilities that go well beyond what they do during their day job. And so Cops and Canvas is an event that we started a couple years ago to showcase the artistic talents of LVMPD staff. And rather than simply use it as a way to showcase, we're also using it as a mechanism for us to be able to give back to the police department and to our officers and staff by raising money through auctioning off the work that they create and contribute to Cops and Canvas.
We're talking right now with Tom Kovac about the Friends of Metro Foundation and coming up the Cops and Canvas Art Auction, Thursday, March 2nd at Fashion Show Mall. By the way, everything we're talking about, the links and such, will all be available on our Talking Solutions Facebook page, along with the podcast of our discussion today. But this sounds like a great event. Get to see another side of Metro. Of course, as the public, we can attend the event. We can buy some of this artwork for ourselves. And the money goes right back in the foundation, which benefits everyone. This is a win-win.
Absolutely. Been really well received the first 2 years we did it. This year, as you've pointed out, it's a fashion show. It'll be at Mariposa at Neiman Marcus, which is a phenomenal setting overlooking the intersection of Spring Mountain and Boulevard. And they do at Neiman Marcus a great job hosting the event for us. So we're very grateful to them and are expecting another wonderful event on March 2nd.
Yeah, that sounds like a good time.
Our biggest fundraising event of the year is called the Sheriff Salutes the Best of the Badge Gala. And this year, that will be held on July 7th, which is the Friday after the 4th of July at Red Rock Station Casino and Resort. We've done this gala now 5 years, and I'm sure you've been to many fundraising galas around the Valley, all for worthy causes, and many of them honor someone or a company because of their important work for that particular nonprofit or their work in the community. We take it a step farther. We do a program during that gala where we have many honorees, and these are the men and women who over the past year have earned one of the 3 highest medals that the department bestows, or things like Valor, and their stories of heroic acts of saving civilians, maintaining safety, and protecting us are incredible. And so we have, on any given year, maybe a dozen or so groups of officers who receive these awards. And by the time that award presentation is over, there's not a dry eye in the ballroom. So another way that the public can support the foundation and, more importantly, support the men and women of LVMPD is by attending the gala. We have sponsorship opportunities. You can buy a table, you can buy a ticket, you can donate an auction item for the silent auction. But by being there, your physical presence allows us to further thank and recognize the remarkable work of specifically the people we're honoring that night, but more broadly, the entire department who members are putting their lives on the line every day they go to work.
They make it into like a half-hour show or something, and I've seen it on one of the cable channels. And you're right about it being very emotional.
Yep. You see, again, a different aspect to our law enforcement officers. More than likely, you've heard about most of the stories in the news, but you weren't actually able to see sort of how that officer approached the situation or how that group of officers handled it and ultimately created a much safer situation than they had walked into or had erupted around them. It's really valuable not only to know about the event, but to see that event often from the officer's perspective, because it's only then, us as civilians, can we start to get an appreciation for the type of situations the men and women of LVMPD and law enforcement find themselves in, and get an appreciation for what it's like to be on the front lines of public safety. Because ultimately, what the foundation is doing is exactly what LVMPD is doing, and that's keeping our community safe. We view the foundation as an important component toward that process because we can provide funding, we can provide recognition and public awareness, and then we can help support specific community engagement programs that have become so important in this day and age of law enforcement. It's not just LVMPD protecting us, it's citizens and organizations in the community coming together, working together to ensure that our community, which is the same community for the officers of LVMPD, they live here, so our community is as safe as it possibly can be.
Tom Kovac is with us today. We're talking about the Friends of Metro Foundation, and I know that we have in past done segments discussing things like Take Back the City initiatives where you get together and bond with the community, because a safe surrounding for all of us involves not just everyone who works with Metro, but also the citizens, knowing that we also need to play a role to really complete that picture.
That's right. And the more that we can demonstrate that police officers and their families are community members, we're all in this together, and they want a safe community as much as anyone else. You referenced earlier in the conversation the horrific murders of two officers, Officer Beck and Officer Saldo, a few years ago. And one of the things that the foundation has been able to do is create a scholarship program in memory of those two officers so that their names, their deaths, and equally importantly, their lives and the lives they led as police officers and as family members lives on as a reminder not only to them, but the importance of law enforcement and the fact that law enforcement officers, again, are real people. And they not only put on a badge and go to work, but in many cases, their spouses and their parents. And we wanted to help highlight that fact. And we were given the opportunity because of one of our board members, Ron Corey, and one of his business partners, Don Tambolo, came together and said, we want to do something in the aftermath of that horrific event that would have a lasting legacy. And so we created a scholarship memorial program that for the last 2 years has given 10 $5,000 scholarships for college or post-high school education to children of police officers and, importantly, corrections officers. Because a lot of people don't realize that the detention center downtown, for instance, is operated by LVMPD. And there are officers there who aren't necessarily out in the streets keeping us safe, but in their management of that jail, they're keeping us safe.
Yeah, so they're hanging around with people who are kind of dicey to start with.
We've been able to provide these 10 scholarships each of the last 2 years because of their generosity. And we ask the applicants to share with us why it's been so important to them and what the impact on their lives has been growing up in a law enforcement household. And each of the 2 years, we've had over 60 applicants for the 10 spots. And one of the hardest things, if not the hardest thing for me to do in this job, is to select 10 from those 60, because every single one is incredibly deserving. And the way that they've been able to describe the effect of being the child of a law enforcement officer, and interesting enough, many of them are the child of two, because there are a number of couples who are married and have children, both working for the department. And it is very heartwarming to see not only the effect these men and women who are officers are having on our community, but also the tremendous ability they have as parents to instill such wonderful values, work ethics, approaches, and perspectives on their children that it's exhibited in these applications.
That makes such sense, because when we're talking about our military, which is such an important part also of our communities, I talk about the fact that families also serve when someone is a member of our military. And it sounds like with Metro, there's a little bit of that as well, in that our Metro officers are such important people in our world, but also their families and the people that they impact directly on a daily basis.
That's right. And fortunately for the families of LVMP officers, those children don't have to see their parents going off to a foreign land and spending extended periods of time away from home. But they do experience having parents getting called throughout the night and needing to drop everything and go to a crime scene. Depending on what hours they're working, what shifts they need to work, they might be working at night and not during the day, because crime doesn't take a moment off.
No, it doesn't around here especially.
We need to ensure that we're covering all hours, day and night, to ensure community safety. So there is that element that you've just referenced that's so important. When you grow up in a law enforcement household, that is going to be different than growing up in a non-law enforcement household. And it's going to have some pressures and sacrifices that can create challenges. And to see these applicants able to express the value and the love that they've received, the things that they're doing as volunteers in their high schools and in their community really is very well representative of the type of people who are the men and women of LVMPD and the values and perspectives and work ethics that they're teaching their children and instilling in their offspring.
It gives us, once again, the chance to see the individuals related to Metro as well-rounded with a life and a family as part of our community, not a one-dimensional caricature just seeing an officer.
Right, exactly. So we've spoken about Cops and Canvas and the Best of the Badge Gala and the Scholarship Fund, all ways that people can support the foundation financially or by showing up at an event. They're also demonstrating their support in person. But the Go True Blue campaign that we conducted this past month was really a way for people to show their support without having to give money. We viewed this as an opportunity for businesses and organizations as well as residents of Southern Nevada to come together and show their support for law enforcement generally, but specifically LVMPD, because that's the group that this foundation supports. So what we did is we asked businesses or organizations and people to go blue. And in the case of government entity like Clark County and the County Commission, they authorized the Welcome to Las Vegas sign on the boulevard to go blue. And we had a ceremony with the county commissioners, and that sign went blue. City Hall, the previous week at their very first council meeting of the year, had a proclamation, and they turned the lights of City Hall blue in honor of the campaign and law enforcement and LVMPD. And we found great receptivity up and down the boulevard from our good friends in the casino industry, as well as casinos throughout the valley and other non-gaming entities who either turned lights blue, or if that was a logistical challenge, they displayed words of support on their marquees. So we had a tremendous response from the corporate and government communities here in Southern Nevada, which we were very, very appreciative of. And then on an individual basis, we asked people to take a selfie or record a short video of themselves wearing blue and proclaiming that they're for public safety and they're going true blue for community safety and LVMPD and the LVMPD Foundation. We had a significant increase in our social media accounts throughout the month, which is just one measurement of the widespread success of the effort, all in the name of allowing more people the platform to show their personal appreciation, or an entity show their corporate appreciation for law enforcement and LVMPD, and the importance of supporting our officers in the department.
Because Metro is a group of heroes. From our side of the fence, that's how it looks.
Absolutely.
And when we talk about the kids that were going for the scholarships, which will continue on, I'm sure.
That's our goal.
But when the kids are going for the scholarships, these are also kids whose parents, either one or both, are or have been part of Metro. There's got to be in the back of your mind when you're a kid who's part of that family that even though all of us, when we step out the door, we need to be on our game. I always say to everybody I see as they're going out the door, be careful. It's got to mean more with someone with Metro as part of the family. There are more risks out there that person is willing to take for the safety of everyone. Even if you don't think about it on a daily basis, it's got to always be there in the back of your mind.
Absolutely.
The Friends of Metro Foundation. Tom Kovac is with us. I know that there were a lot of activities during January, but as I mentioned before, I think that our support for Metro and the people who protect our safety got to be more of a 365 thing. So maybe put the carriage light outside the garage in blue and leave it up all year long. Maybe subscribe to the social media accounts Metro's got. So when you guys put something out there, I'm more likely to be there to see it. Any other ways that individuals can show support for Metro besides the events that we're talking about coming up in the near future?
Sure. There are many. One, Metro has what is known as MVP, Metro Volunteer Program, and that gives civilians the opportunity to volunteer in a number of ways for the department. If that is of interest, you have some free time you'd like to dedicate back to the community, in particular to community safety, please go to either lvmpd.com or the lvmpdfoundation.org website. Either one can give you some initial information on how to volunteer. The substations, the area commands, have all begun, for the most part, I believe all of them now, units of community engagement. There's an office that's based at headquarters, and then there are units of community engagement in each of the area commands throughout the valley. They provide programming, some of which is supported by money that's given to the foundation. And so those programs are often looking for community partners, whether that's someone to buy turkeys at Thanksgiving or help support a turkey drive that one one of the area commands is doing. There are events every first Tuesday at the area commands that provide the opportunity for the public to engage and learn more. And sometimes those activities require additional funding or additional volunteer power. Those are ways that the community can partake in making our community as safe as it possibly can be. So volunteer opportunities exist practically every day throughout the entire year. So you're right. We can take symbolic steps, a show of support throughout the year, but we can also roll up our sleeves and get really engaged as a volunteer. If there's not a lot of time to do that, there are events like First Tuesday where you can go to one of the area commands and participate as a citizen in the community safety process. There is a Citizens Police Academy you can look into, and I think it's a 3 or 4 month course meeting once a week in the evenings that gives you an incredible insight and firsthand exposure to the department and the various units that are working within the department to keep our community safe. That's just another example.
A lot of ways to get involved. It's this bonding between officers and individuals in the community that really makes all of us safer.
Absolutely. Metro does, in my view, and I think in the view of many, many people, a phenomenal job. But even if we, had a department that was twice the size it is now in terms of its personnel, we would still need that partnership between the community and LVMPD in keeping Southern Nevada as safe as it possibly can be. We hope to raise a lot more money in the future and hope to fund some very exciting projects for the community through LVMPD. But even when we accomplish those big fundraising initiatives, we're still going to need the partnership that exists and hopefully will continue to grow between residents and community organizations of faith, and other networks throughout the valley to work in conjunction with and in support of and together with LVMPD to make our homes and our businesses and our schools and where we live as safe as it possibly can be.
And considering that we've got well over 40 million people a year who come into our town, we got a lot of people underfoot, but to keep Las Vegas as safe as possible is the best thing any of us could possibly wish for. The Friends of Metro Foundation, Tom Kovac with us. This is a great city. It can always be better. And I think one way that we can achieve that is we become a part of the policing process, even as a civilian, to make sure that we show our support for members of Metro, that we step up, that we share information, that we open doors, we communicate. The first Tuesday events that you were talking about, Tom, gosh, I remember talking about those in the early 90s when I first got here, so I know they've been going on for years. But there's a different topic every month, and a lot of times it's something safety related that we could all know about and actually live our lives in a safer, better fashion, just for coming out.
That's right. The topic changes every month at each of the substations or area commands, so you will learn something new each time you attend a First Tuesday.
Coming up very soon is the Cops and Canvas art auction. March 2nd, it's a Thursday. It's a fashion show, which is going to raise money for the foundation, of course.
We welcome the public to attend and show their support. One of the goals of the foundation, besides raising money, is to help improve and foster the image of members of the police department. Those of us who have family members who are officers know that they are much more than what they might appear to be behind the badge. Officers are not just people who are there to pull you over when you're speeding or to arrest criminals. They're real people who have interests and talents and abilities that go well beyond what they do during their day job. And so Cops and Canvas is an event that we started a couple years ago to showcase the artistic talents of LVMPD staff. And rather than simply use it as a way to showcase, we're also using it as a mechanism for us to be able to give back to the police department and to our officers and staff by raising money through auctioning off the work that they create and contribute to Cops and Canvas.
We're talking right now with Tom Kovac about the Friends of Metro Foundation, and coming up, the Cops and Canvas art auction, Thursday, March 2nd at Fashion Show Mall. By the way, everything we're talking about, the links and such, will all be available on our Talking Solutions Facebook page, along with the podcast of our discussion today. But this sounds like a great event. Get to see another side of Metro. Of course, as the public, we can attend the event. We can buy some of this artwork for ourselves. And the money goes right back in the foundation, which benefits everyone. This is a win-win.
Absolutely. Been really well received the first 2 years we did it. This year, as you've pointed out, it's a fashion show. It will be at Mariposa at Neiman Marcus, which is a phenomenal setting overlooking the intersection of Spring Mountain and Boulevard. And they do at Neiman Marcus a great job hosting the event for us. So we're very grateful to them and are expecting another wonderful event on March 2nd.
If you'd like to know about that or any of the other things going on with the Friends of Metro Foundation, we'll have all the links on our Talking Solutions Facebook page and a podcast of our discussion today. Tom Kovac, thank you so much for coming in to join us today on Talking Solutions.
Terry, thank you for having me.